Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Amma ba'd. Today, the 21st of Shawwal of the year 1443 after the Hijrah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we begin going through the second book in the series, Madinah Book 2. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave us success to go through Madinah Book 1. I hope everyone has benefited from that. Before we start with the lesson, I wanted to mention a few pieces of advice. The first piece of advice is that we are in the month of Shawwal, and there is only 8 to 9 days before this month comes to an end. The Prophet ﷺ, he encouraged the Muslims to fast 6 days from this month after fasting Ramadan. So if you haven't already started fasting these 6 days, or if you've started already and have a few days left, then please take this as a reminder to complete the 6 days. The second piece of advice is that we all should correct our intentions. Myself and you all, we should all have a sincere intention when we are engaged in our studies and acts of worship in general. And the aim should be to gain a deeper understanding of the Quran and the Sunnah. The Quran being the speech of Allah, and the Sunnah being the speech and the tradition of the Prophet ﷺ, as well as understanding the athar, the statements of the Sahaba and the Salaf, the righteous predecessors, whose statements are the best of explanations that explain the Quran and the Sunnah. So we take our deen from the Quran, the Sunnah, and the understanding of the Salaf, the righteous early Muslims, the Sahaba and those who came after them. All of these are in the Arabic language. So understanding Arabic is going to help you greatly in understanding the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's also going to help you spiritually, because when you stand in prayer, you're going to understand what you're reciting, the adhkar, the supplications, you understand them. So this is the second piece of advice, that we correct our intentions, and our intentions should be noble. The third piece of advice, which I advise myself with and everyone, is to be serious in seeking knowledge. As the Prophet ﷺ advised, "Ihris ala ma yanfa'uk," be diligent and concern yourself with that which will benefit you. "Wasta'in billah," and seek Allah's assistance. "Wala ta'jaz," and do not become weary and do not slacken. So my advice is to take these lessons seriously. Understand the lessons they're not face to face. This is understandable, but this should not make you any less committed. So please listen carefully to the lessons. You can pause, rewind as many times as you like. Take notes, revise. If you start, try and complete the book and move on to the next lesson or next book in the series. If you don't understand anything, I advise you to ask. Whatever you are unsure of, ask. That's the third piece of advice. The fourth piece of advice that I want to offer is our aim, inshallah, is to complete this book in 4 months, inshallah. 4 months, that's the aim. Initially, we're going to start posting twice a week in the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, inshallah, starting from today, Sunday, next week, inshallah, Saturday and Sunday, and so on initially. And then once we have more free time, inshallah, we're going to post more regularly. So I want you to commit yourself to listening to these lessons at least twice a week, even once a week at least, but be consistent. The next piece of advice or piece of note that we wanted to mention is that we are studying Madinah Book 2. We're not studying Madinah Book 1. We finished Madinah Book 1, alhamdulillah. So the aim is to try and build on from the concepts that we've learned in Madinah Book 1 and build on from that and continue on from that, not to go back and study Madinah Book 1. So I hope everyone has revised. I hope everyone's been reviewing the concepts and they understand the concepts well. If you don't, then I advise you to go back to the playlist of Madinah Book 1 and go over that again. If you are joining us and you expect to be someone who's understanding this book and you haven't studied Madinah Book 1, then I advise you to go and study Madinah Book 1. If you're not able to read or write, I advise you to go back. There's a playlist on this channel where we've gone through the basics of reading and writing in the Arabic language. Will give you skills, inshallah, to a good level, inshallah, to teach you how to read and write. The final piece of advice is that our methodology in teaching this book is, firstly, we're going to explain the concepts. Explain the concepts that are going to be covered in the lesson on the notebook. So we're going to take notes. And as I'm taking notes, I want everyone to copy and take notes as well. Maybe my notes are going to be messy, different places. You can make them more neater, inshallah. You can make them more neater because you kind of understand where everything fits in and so on. So I advise you to take notes along with me. This is, inshallah, going to be very helpful for you. When you take notes, it tends to stick in the brain and in the memory longer. So once we've explained the concepts using the notebook, we're going to read the actual lesson from the book, and then whenever we come across the concept, we're going to point it out and highlight it. طيب. Some of the lessons in the book, they're longer than others, so maybe one lesson is going to have several parts. Maybe lesson 1 part 1, lesson 1 part 2, lesson 1 part 3, because the lesson is long. I can't explain it in one video, and the video, I'm trying to keep them like 20 to 30 minutes long. I don't want to go over that. طيب. We'll also follow the same methodology that we was following in Madinah Book 1, where we explain the homework before giving it, and then in the following video we go over the homework together. And when we go over the homework, the aim is for you to mark your work, not for you to copy. طيب. So you should have already completed the homework, but you're using those videos where we're going over the homework to mark what you've done. طيب. Barakallah fikum. So let's start. We're going to start lesson 1. In lesson 1, the author is going to bring a concept which deals with sentences. So before going on to that concept, let's revise quickly. So in the Arabic language, you have 2 types of sentences, yeah? 2 types of sentences. Okay, I was going to write in Arabic, but what's a sentence? A sentence is a jumla. Jumlatun. Plural of jumlatun is jumalun. So we have 2 types of jumal. الجمل في اللغة العربية قسمان أو نوعان, 2 types. The first type is جملة اسمية. جملة اسمية, which is the nominal sentence. This was the focus of book 1. We was focusing more on this type of sentence in book 1. The second type is جملة فعلية. جملة فعلية, the verbal sentence. Nominal, verbal. Constructing a jumla ismiya, we have to have 2 parts. The first part is mubtada, mubtada'un, and the second part is khabar. Mubtada is the subject of the sentence, what you're speaking about. Khabar is what comes to give information, come to inform about the mubtada. So, for example, we have, Zaydun Muslimun. Zaydun is a Muslim. Mubtada, khabar. Another example, Aminatu Muslimun or Muslimatun. Muslimatun, because the mubtada and the khabar have to match in gender and number. Remember, these are the stuff that we learnt in book 1. Matching gender and number. So here we have mu'annath, mu'annath, mudhakkar, mudhakkar. 1, 1, 1, 1. This is jumla ismiya, mubtada, khabar. They are the basic foundations or components in constructing a jumla ismiya. Then we can have extra information describing this and so on. طيب, but these 2, you can't have them missing. If you have one of these 2 missing, then you don't have a jumla ismiya. Jumla fi'liya, we have to have 2 components as well. Fi'lun, which is the verb, and fa'ilun, which is the doer. The action and the doer, person doing it. So for example, we'd have ذهب Muhammadun. Muhammad went. ذهب is the fi'l, the action. Who did it? Muhammad is the doer. Another example, ضرب Muhammadun. ضرب Muhammadun, Muhammad hit. This type of verb requires an object. So we have 2 types of verbs. We have a verb which is lazim, it only requires a fa'il. And we have another type of verb which is muta'addi. it requires, every verb requires a fa'il, but this one, along with requiring a fa'il, it has to have an object it fell on or it occurred, happened to. ضرب محمد is not a complete sentence. We have to have that the object. The object is مفعول به. ضرب محمد زيدا, would say. Okay. ضرب محمد زيدا. Muhammad is the one that was hit. The hukm, the ruling of the ending of the fa'il is that it is marfu', ending with dhamma and dhammatain. This is the primary sign. Dhamma or dhammatain, primary sign. There's other signs, but we will refer to this as a word in marfu' state. The state of this word is marfu'. Likewise, the khabar is always marfu' and the mubtada is always marfu'. These words we have, inshallah, we've covered them in Madinah Book 1. Marfu', mansoob, majroor, and so on. These kind of words, these are the ahkam in nahu. Like in fiqh we have haram, halal, makruh, mubah, and so on. In nahu we have these types of ahkam where the endings is the focus. Marfu', dhamma dhammatain. Majroor, kasra kasratain. Mansoob, fatha fathatain. So this is mansoob because maf'ulun bihi. The object of the sentence is maf'ulun bihi, is mansoob. Marfu', the fa'il is always marfu'. The khabar is always marfu'. The mubtada is always marfu'. طيب. Okay, so this is something that we should already know. We mentioned this as an introduction to what's going to come. So in this lesson we're going to come across this inna, and then wa akhawatuha. The author is going to bring this concept of inna wa akhawatuha. Akhawatuha, inna and its sisters. Akhawatuha, inna is mu'annath, so akhawatuha and its sisters. Akhawat is the plural for ukhtun. Ukhtun means a sister. A sister. Someone who shares the same, a female who shares the same mother and father as you is your sister. But here we're not talking about sisters here. Another meaning for sister or ukhtun in the Arabic language is mathil. Mathilun. Mathilun or nadhir. Nadhirun. That's what ukht means here. Ukht is mathil or nadhir. What's mathil or nadhir? A counterpart, an equivalent, something like it. So there's inna and its sisters means nadha'iruha, things which are similar to it. Things which are similar to it in which way? Things which are similar to it in grammatical function. Inna and its sisters have the same grammatical function. They do the same job. They have the same effect. Okay, that's what akhawatuha means. Mathil means its counterparts and its equivalent. It's like. In what way? In grammatical function. They all do the same jobs. Their meanings are different, but their job, the grammatical job function is exactly the same. How many of them are there in total? Inna and its sisters? There's 6. And they're all huruf. They're all huruf. Remember, the words in the Arabic language are either ism, fi'l, harf. Inna and its sisters are all huruf. So we can say huruf, or we can say ahruf as well. Another plural, which is more suitable, is ahruf. Ahruf. Huruf is when there's a lot of huruf. Ahruf is when there's less than 10. So we're talking about 6, so we use this plural is better. Ahruf. Jam'u qilla. So they are all ahruf. Sittatu ahruf. 6 particles. These 6 particles, we're going to mention them all together now, although in lesson 1 he only mentions 2. In lesson 1 he only mentions 2, but let's mention all of them and explain all of them together so we have an understanding. It's better this way sometimes when you group all of the information together under one and summarize it generally and then explain it individually later on. Inshallah, this is a better way of teaching. So we have inna, this is number 1. We have anna, is number 2. We have la'alla, this is number 3. La'alla, number 3. Then we have lakinna, la. Okay, that kasra is for the kaf, yeah. Upward fatha for the lakinna. We stretch the lam, yeah, but there's no alif written. Lakinna. Then we have ka'anna and later. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inna, anna, la'alla, lakinna, ka'anna, later. 6 ahruf, 6 letters. They have the same grammatical function, but their meanings are different. Their meanings, let's cover their meanings quickly. Yeah? Inna and anna have the same meaning. They come for tawkid. Tawkidun. Tawkid means emphasis. Tawkidun is emphasis. La'alla comes for two meanings. Raja, raja'un, or ishfaqun. Raja or ishfaq. What's raja? Raja is hope. La'alla can come to show hope in something happening. Ishfaq is the opposite, fear of something happening, fear or hope. Lakinna comes for istidrak. It means however or but. You've mentioned something, and that thing which you mentioned previously might be misunderstood. So you're coming to like a clarification of what you mentioned before, because it might have been misunderstood. So istidrak, however, but. Ka'anna comes to resemble, tashbih. Tashbih is to resemble. It translates as if. It's as if, it's as though. La'alla is tamannin. Tamannin is if only. It's like false hope. This one we have hope. Raja is hope, and this is false hope. This is something that's impossible. You're hoping in something that's impossible. That's false hope. Raja, that thing which you're hoping for, there's possibility, the high chance of it actually happening. These are the meanings. Yeah. If you don't understand the meanings right now, I've just mentioned them generally, but this is not the focus. Yeah. Inshallah, these things will come slowly, inshallah. The main focus is now just understand generally the grammatical function, which we're going to explain now. So they have different meanings, as you can see. They express different meanings, but their grammatical function is the same. Inna and anna, we said they come for tawkid, emphasis. The difference between the two is inna is usually at the start of a sentence, and anna usually comes in the middle of a sentence. So we'd say, for example, inna zaydan karimun, and anna will be dhanantu anna. So you see, it comes in the middle of a sentence. That's the slight difference, but the meaning is exactly the same. Inna and its sisters have the same grammatical function, and that grammatical function is that when it enters upon the jumla ismiya, and that's is only going to enter upon jumla ismiya. It's not going to enter upon jumla fi'liya. Inna and its sisters will only enter upon jumla ismiya. طيب. That's the first important thing that we need to mention. How is it going to affect the sentence? When it enters upon a jumla ismiya, it's going to affect both parts, the mubtada and the khabar. It's going to affect both parts, the mubtada and the khabar. How is it going to affect the mubtada? It's going to affect the mubtada in two ways. First way is the ending now, before the mubtada, the inna came in, the ending was marfu'. The first effect is, it's going to change this. It's no longer going to be marfu'. Instead of zaydun, it's going to become zaydan. It changes it from marfu' to mansub. That's the first thing, mansub. Number one. What's the first change? The mubtada goes from being marfu' to being mansub. طيب. What's made it mansub? Inna. Inna has made this word mansub. That's the first change. The second change is the mubtada is no longer going to be called mubtada. So it changes the name of the mubtada into ismu inna. It's going to be called ismu inna now. The mubtada is no longer going to be called mubtada, it's going to be called ismu inna. Two changes on the mubtada. It becomes mansub and it's going to be called ismu inna. Here we're saying ismu inna because inna is here. But if it was anna, it would be ismu anna. If it was la'alla, ismu la'alla. Ismu lakinna, ismu ka'anna, ismu layta. The same thing that we're saying here about inna applies to all of them. They have the same grammatical function. So this is in terms of the effect on the mubtada. What effect does it have on the khabar? Remember we mentioned that the khabar is marfu' because of the mubtada. Okay? The khabar is marfu' because of the mubtada. But when inna comes, it's going to change this. It's no longer going to be marfu' because of the mubtada. It's going to be marfu' because of inna. Inna is making it marfu'. So the ending, the end result is still the same. Muslimun is going to be Muslimun in both cases, before and after inna entering the sentence. But the cause is different. before inna came into the sentence, the cause for it being marfu' was the mubtada. But after inna came into the sentence, the cause for it being marfu' is inna. Inna is the cause. So, Muslimun is still Muslimun. Zaidan Muslimun, still Muslimun. But the cause, it's marfu' because of inna. So it's marfu' because of inna. The second change, the second effect that it has on the khabar is it's no longer going to be khabar. The name changes to khabaru inna. It's going to be called khabar inna, the khabar of inna. Two changes. And the same for these ones. If anna was here, it would be khabar anna, la'alla, khabar lakinna. Same thing that we mentioned about ismu inna, khabar inna. Is that understood? Inna came into the sentence, changed the mubtada in two ways. It changed it from being mansub, it changed it from being marfu' to mansub. It changed the name to ismu inna now. So when we analyze this sentence, we're going to say Zaid, ismu inna mansub. Muslim, khabar inna marfu'. What made it marfu'? Inna. What made it mansub? Inna. So inna affects the mubtada and the khabar. طيب. That's in terms of the grammatical function. In terms of meaning, this has more emphasis than the first meaning, because we mentioned that inna and anna come for tawkid. So if I said Zaid Muslim, Zaidun Musliman, Zaid is a Muslim. That's a casual statement. Zaid is a Muslim. So imagine someone came and he's meeting Zaid for the first time. Someone comes and he's meeting Zaid for the first time. And as he meets Zaid, he sees that Zaid is clean shaven. He sees that his trousers is below his ankles. He sees him with dreadlocks. He sees him with a pierced ear and tattoos and so on. And then I say to him, Zaid Muslim. And he looks at me in a funny way. Thinking that, how is this guy Muslim? He doesn't look like a Muslim. So I'm going to emphasize to him now. I'm going to say, Inna Zaidan Muslimun ya akhi. Indeed, that's how we translate inna and anna. Indeed, surely, without doubt, certainly, Zaid is a Muslim. Yes, he looks like a non-Muslim, but he has tawheed. He prays 5 times a day, but he's falling short in these types of sins. And these sins don't remove a person from the fold of Islam. These sins don't remove. Having tattoo is major sin. Piercing the ear and resembling the woman, this is major sin. Having the trousers below the ankles for men, this is major sin. Shaving the beard, major sin. But these major sins, although they make the Islam deficient, they don't remove the asl of Islam. The person is still a Muslim. So I'm emphasizing to this person, Inna Zaydan Muslimun. Surely he is a Muslim, ya akhi. Surely he is a Muslim. And the same with Amina. We can give the example with Amina. Someone comes, she's Amina. She's wearing trousers, no hijab. She's mixing with men and so on. And I tell her, Amin is a Muslim, you know that, yeah? And he's looked at me funny. So I say, Inna Aminata Muslimatun. Yeah, Mansub, Aminata, Muslimatun, Marfu'. Inna Aminata Muslimatun. Same thing. So I've emphasized, no doubt, Amin is a Muslim. Surely, Amin is a Muslim. طيب. So this is an example of what's going to be covered in the lesson. So this is going to come in the lesson 1, Anna, and also La'alla is going to come. La'alla, we said it has 2 meanings. Raja, which is hope. It's not false hope. It's actually, there's a possibility of that hope coming true. That thing that you're hoping in coming true. So either hope or fear. We give examples of both. La'alla, if someone revised for his exams and then he says, La'alla al-imtihan sahl. And then we have la'alla, صعب. Okay, we have 2 la'allas. Yeah, different meanings in both. Okay, firstly, let's try and put the tashkil on these. So the sentence without la'alla would be al-imtihanu sahlun. Al-imtihanu sa'bun without la'alla, yeah? So without لعل, the test is easy. The test is difficult. طيب. After لعل is introduced, what's going to happen to the mubtada? This was the mubtada, right? What's going to happen to the mubtada? It's going to become mansoob. It's going to become mansoob. So we change the fatha or the dhamma into a fatha. So it becomes لعل الامتحان. And here لعل الامتحان. Sahlun remains sahlun. Remains sahlun because it makes it marfu', which is, it was already marfu'. But now the cause is لعل. لعل الامتحان سهل. لعل الامتحان صعب. So the meaning here now, the test is easy. Here it's hope. Hope that the test is easy. Hopefully the test is easy. لعل, I fear that the test is difficult. طيب, understand that one is رجاء, one is إشفاق. The sentence that's going to come in the actual lesson is لعلك بخير. I hope that you are well. I hope that you are well. طيب. So here, hopefully what we've understood from this is the function of inna and its sisters. All of them have the same function. They make the mubtada mansoob, and the name is changed to ismu inna. They make the khabar marfu', and the name is changed into khabaru inna. So inna affects the mubtada by making it mansoob. Affects the khabar by making it marfu'. What if we change the order? What if we change the order of the mubtada khabar? Like in the sentence that we had, عندي سيارة. عندي سيارة. This sentence that we had in book 1, we had عندي سيارة, ما عندي سيارة, if you remember. And we said عندي سيارة, عندي, this was شبه جملة, شبه جملة ظرف مضاف مضاف إليه, شبه جملة خبر. This was the خبر مقدم that was brought forward. This is the خبر that was brought forward. And سيارة was the مبتدا that was مؤخر, that was delayed. Mubtada has come forward, khabar has been delayed, pushed back. So this is our mubtada. Okay, it's important to know this. So if we know that this is our mubtada and this is our khabar, let's bring inna now. Inna makes the mubtada mansoob. So where is the mubtada? Is this word here? Does inna make the word directly after it mansoob and the word directly after that one marfu'? No. Inna is going to make mansoob. It's going to look for the mubtada and make it mansoob. So here it's going to be sayyaratan. Indi is a shibhu jumla. The dhamma doesn't appear. It doesn't appear. So it remains like this. But it's in the place of khabar inna. So this is khabar inna. So this is ismu inna, and this is khabar inna. Inna indi sayyaratan. So inna عندي سيارة. Inna makes the mubtada mansoob wherever it is in the sentence, whether it's directly after it like here or after it, the organization or the order is changed. It's only going to affect the mubtada by making it mansoob and the khabar by making it marfu'. So this is marfu'. It's in the place of marfu', although we can't see the dhamma or dhammatin. طيب. And the same with this other sentence that came. لي أخ واحد. This is حرف جر اسم مجرور. جار ومجرور شبه جملة خبر مقدم. This is our خبر. أخ is our مبتدأ مؤخر. It was delayed. And what's واحد? واحد is نعت. I have one brother. نعت for أخ. So if we bring inna, where's the mubtada? This is the mubtada, right? So inna is going to make this one become akhan. If the mubtada becomes mansoob, which is also man'ut, the na'at has to match. So it's going to be wahidan. Inna didn't affect wahidan, yeah? Inna didn't affect wahidan. Wahidan is just dependent on this. It takes its i'rab from this. It was marfu', it's marfu'. It's mansoob, now it's going to be mansoob. Li remains li. So inna li akhan wahidan. I certainly have one brother. You've emphasized it. Inna indi sayyaratan. I certainly have one car. I only have one car. You're emphasizing. The point of this is to show you that inna will affect the mubtada and the khabar in the same way, whether the order is changed or the order remains the same. That's one point that we wanted to cover in this lesson. The other point, which is important also, and I think we'll stop here because the lesson seems like it's getting quite long. I don't know if it's me speaking too slow or the time is going fast, Allahu A'lam. But sometimes we can, let me give you the different, remember the khabar, we have different types of khabar. Okay, let's give different types of khabar. Al-waladu tawilun. Al-waladu tawilun. Then we have another type of khabar, which is al-waladu fil masjidi. Then we have another type of khabar, al-waladu fawqa al-minara. Al-waladu اسمه زيد. الولد ذهب إلى المدرسة. These are the 5 types of khabar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 types of khabar that we covered in book 1. We have the one-worded khabar. One-worded khabar. We have the jar or majroor. حرف جر اسم مجرور. We have the ظرف adverb, which is usually mudaf, and then we have mudaf ilayh. These two, we refer to them as being a phrase. This is a phrase. This is called shibhu jumla. Shibhu jumla is a phrase. So we have khabar mufrad, single worded khabar, phrase coming as a khabar, and then we have a sentence coming as a khabar, a full sentence. Where's the full sentence? If we cover this, does this make sense? If we say ismuhu Zayd, his name is Zayd, that's a jumla on its own. Ismuhu Zayd. This is mubtada, mudaf ilayh, Zayd khabar. This is a jumla on its own. And then here, this is a jumla on its own as well. Dhahaba, he went. Who went? Yani if the fa'il is not mentioned, then it's mustatir, it's hidden. He went to the school. So this is fi'il. Fa'il is hidden. It's huwa. تقديره huwa. إلى المدرسة, went to the school. إلى مدرستي. So this is jumla ismiya, and this is jumla fi'liya, coming as khabar. This was a phrase. This is a whole jumla now. So we have, this is jumla ismiya. It starts with the ism. This is jumla fi'liya. So we have jumla. So in total, 5 types of khabar. Let's see how, when we enter inna or one of its sisters upon these jumal, how they're going to be affected. It's very messy, yeah? Me, I'm very messy. Try and keep your ones clean, inshallah. In all of these sentences, al-walad is the mubtada, right? This is the mubtada in all of them. Mubtada, prior to inna coming in. So inna is going to affect the mubtada by making it mansub. So we al-walada. After we've changed it to become mansub, it's no longer going to be called mubtada, it's going to be called ismu inna. This is khabar inna. In all of these cases, this is going to be khabar inna. Inna al-walada tawilun. Al-walada ismu inna mansub. Tawilun khabaru inna marfu'. Next one. Al-walada fil masjid. Al-walada ismu inna mansub. Fil masjid jar wa majur shibu jumla khabar. Still khabar. We're going to say khabaru inna now. At the end, we're going to add khabar inna. Al-walad ismu inna mansub. طيب. فوق is ظرف وهو شبه جملة خبر إن وهو مضاف إليه. الولد اسم إن منصوب. اسمه, we'd analyze this whole sentence. اسمه is مضاف is مبتدأ مضاف ها مضاف إليه زيد خبر. And this jumla, the whole jumla اسمية is coming as خبر إن. ذهب إلى المدرسة. ذهب فعل. The فاعل is مستتر تقديره هو. إلى حرف جر. مدرستي اسم مجرور. This whole جملة فعلية is coming as خبر for الولد. This is going to be مرفوع. This whole خبر is going to be مرفوع. This whole اسم is مرفوع. This whole ظرف is مرفوع. the jar majur is marfu'. If the dhamma dhammatin is not seen, we say fi mahalli. Fi mahalli raf. It's in the place of something which is marfu'. This is why we said only in this case where we can see the dhamma. But in this case, because we can't see the dhamma, we say fi mahalli. Fi mahalli. It's in the place. It's standing in the place of something which is supposed to be marfu'. Can we just put a dhamma on the end here and say this is the khabar? No, we can't do that. But this is the khabar inna, which is supposed to be marfu'. This is khabar inna, which is supposed to be marfu'. Khabar inna, which is supposed to be marfu'. Khabar inna. This is the khabar inna. It's not supposed to be, it is marfu'. This one is marfu'. These ones are supposed to be, but we can't see it, so we use this term. Fi mahalli. It's in the place of something which is marfu'. I hope you've understood this. If you are finding it difficult, it's probably because you probably have to try and understand that there's different types of khabar, which we covered in book 1. There's different types of khabar. There's a mufrad, single, worded. There's a jar wa majur coming as khabar. There's a dharf, which comes as khabar. There's a jumla, whole jumla ismiya, which comes as khabar. And there's a whole jumla fi'liya, which comes as khabar. 5 types of khabar. When we bring inna, the effect is the same as if we were talking about one-worded khabar. It affects in the same way. But the change with the raf', we can't see it. So we'd say fi mahalli. It's still marfu'. It's in the place of being marfu', but we can't see the dhammas at the end. Yeah, because it's a whole sentence. We can't just place a dhamma at the end. In the phrase, we can't just place a dhamma at the end. طيب. So here, the sentences, because we have inna, which it comes for tawkeed, emphasis, we'd say, inna, verily the boy is tall. Indeed, the boy is in the masjid. Indeed, the boy is on top of the minara, the minaret. Indeed, the boy, his name is Zaid. Indeed, the boy has went to the madrasa, to the school, until the end. The final thing is, we have dhamirs, right? We have pronouns. Pronouns are either munfasil, detached, or muttasil. So we have huwa for third person masculine singular, huwa. And then we have huma, third person masculine dual, 2 of them, them 2. The 2 of them, he, the 2 of them, huma. Hum, if it's a group of males, you're talking about them, more than 2. Then we have here, if you're talking about her, 1 female. Here, huma is the same, whether you speak about males or females, so long as they're 2 in number, it's the same. And then if it's a group of women, more than 2, we say hunna. So this is the first type of dhamirs, the third person. Then we have anta, when you're addressing a man, 1 man, you're talking to him, second person. Antuma, 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 2 of you, you're talking to them. Antum, if it's a group of them, you say antum. Anti, talking to her. Antuma, once again. Antunna. And then if I'm talking about myself, first person, ana, male, 2 of us, nahnu, group more than 2, a woman, ana, nahnu, nahnu, ana, nahnu. If it's 1, whether male or female, it's ana. Nahnu, where there's a group of male or female, it's nahnu. If it's more than, it's 2 or more. These are dhamirs munfasil, detached. Third person, second person, first person. Okay. If we have a jumla starting with one of these dhamirs come as mubtada usually, yeah? So we have huwa, instead of Zaid, we say huwa muslimun. We're talking about Zaid, but we're going to refer to him as a Muslim. We say huwa muslimun. Huwa muslimun. He is a Muslim. What is going to happen if I bring inna before this sentence? Does it become inna huwa? Inna huwa muslimun? No. We're going to use the muttasil version of huwa. The muttasil version of huwa is hu. So we're going to have hu attached onto inna. So it's going to be inna hu. This is the muttasil version. So let me go through the muttasil versions, yeah? So the muttasil version of huwa is hu. The muttasil version of huma is the same. It will be the same. Hum is the same. So it will be inna huma, same thing. Inna hum. Here, instead of here, it's going to be inna ha. innaha. Innahuma, same. Innahunna is the same. Here, the tas, all the tas are going to change into kafs. So here, instead of anta is going to be ka. Instead of anti is going to be ki. And then antuma is going to be kum. Kuma. Kuma. Kuma once again. Kum. And here it's going to be kunna. Ana is a ya that needs a kasra before it. So the noon of the word is going to take a kasra. It's going to be, so this is the noon of the kasra. You could say inni or innani, as we're going to learn. This is going to come inside the lesson. And nahnu is going to be na, innana. You can say innana or inna, two ways. The point is, if we have the mubtada coming as a dhamir, and it's going to come as a dhamir munfasil, detached, if inna comes, we're going to use the muttasil, the attached version of that dhamir. So we need to memorize the detached dhamirs and know their corresponding muttasil versions. They're muttasil versions. It's something that has to be memorized. You'll find this, inshallah, in one of the pages in the lessons. I believe it's on page 7. But he doesn't mention all of them. He doesn't mention all of the dhamirs. The jewel ones, they don't come here. They'll come in a later lesson. The jewel ones, these ones, they don't come. So memorize them. Huma, exactly the same for male and female. Antuma, exactly for male and female. This is third person, this is second person. طيب. I think I'm going to stop here, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.